and it has been a really long time since I filmed a video. So here I am today, and I am going to be doing a video about the books I've read kinda not so recently. So let's get right into it. Okay, the first book I have is Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. Now, this book has been around for a while, but I finally got to reading it. I've had it for like 2 years, but I loved it. It was such an incredible book. And basically, the plot of it is about a young boy named Oscar Schell, whose father was killed in 9/11, and that's kind of what the whole book is about. It's kind of like centered on 9/11, or at least specific parts of it are. And Oscar finds this key in his father's closet, and it's got the name Black on it, or the color black. It's got black written on it, or on the paper with it. So Oscar goes around to find what this key unlocks and where it goes to, because he feels like it was something left by his father for him to find. So he goes around his city and to find people to figure out what this key belongs to. And it was a great adventure. It was really fun, and if you ever have the chance, I suggest pick it up because I really liked it. Alright, the next book I have here is Scars by Cheryl Rainfield, and I may or may not have talked about this before, but this is one of my favorite books ever. I really love it, and I reread it because I've read it like 4 times now because I like it that much. Basically, what this book is about, I've probably talked about it before, but it's about a girl named Kendra who was sexually assaulted when she was younger and is now starting to remember it with her therapist, and she's becoming kind of paranoid about it because she's afraid of him because she doesn't know who he is, and she feels like this guy is targeting her and gonna come back for her. So she uses cutting as a method to help her feel better and feel more safe and secure. And so now she's meeting people and trying to figure out who her abuser was and if he's gonna hurt her and all this stuff. And I really like it. I really like how the author did it and just incorporated the topic of self-harm, because it's really hard to grasp and it's really hard to just write about it. So I really like how this author wrote this one. It's one of my favorite books of self-harm I've ever read. So if you ever have a chance, please pick it up. It's really good. Okay, so the next couple books I talked about in my June TBR and what I wanted to read in June, because I didn't read a lot in May. So these ones are the ones that I wanted to read in June, and I made a video about that, so if you want to go back and watch that, go ahead. But we've got Light Filters and Poems by Carolyn Kaufman. We have Winter Girls by Lori Hales Anderson. We've got When the World Didn't End by Carolyn Kaufman. We have Cut by Patricia McCormick. And we've got Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. So I talked about all those in my June TBR, so if you want to go check those out and see what they're about, go for it. But I liked all of them pretty much, so yeah. Okay, the next book I have is The June Boys by Court Stevens. And this is a book about what they call him is the Gemini Thief. Well, the person they call the Gemini Thief. And the Gemini Thief is taking boys every June. So now Thea is trying to discover him, or the person that they call the Gemini Thief, because the Gemini Thief has taken her cousin, Aulus is, I believe, how you pronounce his name. I'm not really sure, but he's taken Aulus, so now Thea wants to get him back, and she's working with her boyfriend Nick to try and figure out who the Gemini Thief is and where Aulus is and all this kind of crazy stuff. But Thea has some suspicions that her dad may be the Gemini Thief. So she's trying to prove him innocent, but all the facts are proving towards his guilt. And yeah, I thought it was a really good book. I liked it. So, and I read it in June because June boys, it made sense to me. So, pick it up. I thought it was pretty good. Alright, so next is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. And this book is about a girl named Nicolette who left her hometown about 10 years ago, is where it's taking place. So, 10 years ago, her best friend Corinne disappeared, and they never found her or anything like any clues to help find her. So once she got away from the town, she kind of cut off from everyone and just totally left. But one day she gets a phone call saying that her father's getting worse and his illness is getting worse, so she drops everything and goes back to her hometown. And then, as it says, history repeats itself and another girl goes missing. So now Nicolette's trying to figure out what's going on, who's taken these girls, what's happened to her best friend Corinne. And it kind of takes you back through that night 10 years ago. It kind of takes, it's in a format where it goes from like day 15, I believe, down to day 1. But I thought it was pretty cool. It was a little bit confusing that way because it kind of jumped around, but I still thought it was pretty cool. So, if you have a chance, pick it up. Alright, this book is Survive the Night by Daniela Vega. And this book is about a girl named Casey who just got back from rehab, and she lets her friends Shayna, Julie, and Aya, I believe is how you pronounce it. Yeah, Aya. And Casey lets them talk her into going to this thing called Survive the Night, which is down in an abandoned subway, and they have a party, and you have to stay down there all night. But then Casey comes along Julie's body, which has been mutilated, and now they're trying to get out of there, but they're trapped in, and they can't find any way to get out. So now Casey and her friends have to figure out a way to just get out of this subway tunnel and basically just to survive. It was good and bad. It had parts. It wasn't my favorite book, but it wasn't terrible either. Like, I liked it, but it definitely had some flaws that needed to be fixed with it. But besides that, it was a pretty good book. So, alright. The next book is Because You Love to Hate Me, and this is by various authors and collaborated with various booktubers. This book is about villain tales and twisted villain tales. So there's tales on Medusa, and there's tales of Beauty and the Beast and stuff like that, and they're just twisted, but they're all about the villains of the story. And I loved it. I loved all the stories, and a couple of them didn't make sense as villain tales to me, but the rest were just spot on. I really liked it, and it was overall just a really great book. My favorite story from this was probably, I think, the Beauty and the Beast one, because that took such a crazy turn in it, and it was really cool to see how they did it, and it was an amazing book. All the stories were great, it was well detailed, and it was just everything you'd want in a book. So this is my baby now. She is with the rest of my favorite books, and it is staying there forever. The next book I have is called Sick Girl by Rachel Hargrove, and this book is about a 25-year-old girl named Aubrey, and she is having an affair with a married man named Tom, and he has 2 children. And when he starts to kind of not show back in the relationship, and Aubrey has cancer, so she wants to kind of just get on with it and get Tom to leave his wife and all that. So she comes up with a plan to kill the wife and take her place. So Aubrey starts to become friends with his wife, and they start to have a kind of a friendship. And when that happens, then Aubrey makes some shocking discoveries, and life takes a twist for the worse. This book it wasn't my favorite, but it definitely had some crazy plot twists, and it was definitely a wild adventure. So if you're definitely looking for crazy plot twists and wild adventures, this is the book for you. Okay, so the next and last 4 books I have are all part of the same series, the Percy Jackson series. And if you don't know what they're about, which most of you do, I'll just give you a small recap. Percy Jackson was this normal 12-year-old kid. Well, as normal as he could be. And basically, he has a best friend Grover, and then some crazy shit starts happening, and Grover tells him, just be careful, don't do anything stupid, just let me guide you home. Percy doesn't listen, he gets himself in trouble, and that's when he finds out, hey, monsters and mythical gods and all this stuff exist. So the series is basically about Percy Jackson and his friends and all these crazy wild adventures and picking up new demigods and half-bloods and waging war on people and causing a hell of a scene. So the first book is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. Second, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Sea of Monsters. Third, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Titan's Curse. The fourth one, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Battle of the Labyrinth. And then the fifth one I have not read yet. The fourth one I just started. So the series I'm really liking so far. I read the first and second book a couple times, but I haven't read the other 3, so now I'm finally getting around to it because I am a procrastinator and I am so bad with procrastinating. So, but I'm really liking the series so far. It's a great series, and I do enjoy the movie too. So, want to check it out? Check it out. They're pretty good. Alright, and that is it. You have it. Those are the books I've read kind of recently, kind of not so recently. But for the most part, they were all pretty good. There was some ups and downs, of course. You always got that in books, you know? But I really liked it. So, until next time, bye.